This video has been very kindly brought to you today by War Robots, an action-packed tactical multiplayer game with 6v6 real-time battles in giant bloody robots. That's a lamppost. That's how big they are. In this game you can create and customize your own giant bloody robots so you can run around and destroy other giant bloody robots with machine guns, cannons, missiles, and all while leaping around buildings. Do what you want, it fits your playstyle. Personally, I love the jumping giant bloody robots because there's nothing quite like getting behind the enemy to wreck their world before they can even say, "Oh no, a giant bloody robot!" There's rich 3D graphics that run really smoothly along with constant updates featuring new maps, robots, and game modes, and I've been having a lot of fun with this one while emptying my bowels. So please install War Robots now with my link in the description below and join the other 90 million players online right now. As a bonus, you'll get one boa robot with massive amounts of health, a full set of weapons, a custom skin, 400,000 silver, and 100 gold. Thanks again to War Robots for sponsoring the channel, and please enjoy the video. Hey everyone, Caddy here, and here's some more Kingdom Hearts for you. After the utterly lacking in anything cutscenes from Coded on the PS4, we're now moving on to the next HD remaster of the next chronological game that originally came out on the 3DS to get even more fucking confusing. This is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, a game which I never played before until this collection, and one I was very interested to see in action. From all the trailers and such from when the game first came out back in 2012, it looked a bit too much like the team were trying too hard to be different for the sake of it. We've had hack and slash RPG, card-based free roaming action, mission structures, and now an action RPG mixed with fucking Nintendogs. Basically, all that time ago I was already lost with the series and so had no interest at all to carry it on, and the gameplay reveals didn't do anything to tempt me further. Obviously nowadays it's different. I want to get ready for Kingdom Hearts 3 and I've been massively enjoying the series so far to the point of it becoming one of my favourites, so I suppose it's just lucky that this is the last chronological game we have to look at before Kingdom Hearts 3 hopefully blows our collective cocks off, and our inside out cocks. And hey, as far as HD remasters go, this is a fantastic one. It's sharp, vibrant, smooth, and with excellent music as always. With that said though, how does the story go to prepare you for Kingdom Hearts 3? Well, let's find out now. Spoilers, alright, okay, nice. Dream Drop essentially prepares you for Kingdom Hearts 3 and doesn't do much else. It adds a lot more flavour, text, and depth to the world, but doesn't necessarily progress the story until the ending portions of it, which I suppose is the same thing as Coded, but at least this game actually has things that fucking happen in it, and it's a very entertaining ride for the most part. The end of Coded revealed that there were some other characters we've never seen before, that Sora was basically the key to finding and rescuing, and with Xehanort becoming more of a threat than ever with his stupid fucking time-travelling shenanigans after he knew Sora would unintentionally restore him back to human form, we not only need to start finding these people, but also undergo the Mark of Mastery exam from Yensid so that Sora and Riku can officially proclaim their mastery with the Keyblade and are more than 100% ready to take down Xehanort before he does a naughty. And Riku definitely needs to take the exam because, well, he's still a very dark son of a bitch, so we need to find more ways to control it. The exam itself involves entering into new realms known as the Sleeping Worlds, Disney worlds that were so broken up by the darkness from all the shit that happened in the previous games that they basically comatosed into darkness and never recovered, thus quote-unquote falling asleep and being forgotten, which makes them near impossible to access by anybody, including the heartless of the present day. The only way to get into the world is by a complicated and very dangerous powerful magic that Yensid is able to conjure up as part of Riku and Sora's exam, allowing them to exist in these dream worlds without any other heartless following through. But of course, since the Sleeping Worlds fell asleep from too much darkness in the first place, that still means that their own breed of darkness exists within them. These are called Dream Eaters, and they feed on the good dreams of when the world was awake and alive, and so therefore feeds on any other living soul that stumbles into these worlds. But luckily, every world in the franchise has its own heart that can be sealed by a Keyblade and protected from evil. Yes, the worlds themselves have hearts, FYI, and the Sleeping Worlds are no exception here. So this time your quest is to follow the source of where the Dream Eaters are coming from, seal the sleeping locks to wake up the worlds from the dream realm, and restore them for anyone else to travel to. Honestly, I'd argue this is the most difficult game to initially stomach and understand, but once you get your head around it all, I found it extremely entertaining and just the right level of Metal Gear Solid complicated without leading nowhere at all like in Coded. You're also introduced to new characters from The World Ends With You, oddly enough, within the Sleeping Realms who are being manipulated by a younger Xehanort to deliver Riku and Sora to him in exchange for reuniting them all with their loved ones out of the Sleeping Worlds, which is kind of sick and depressing, you bastard. But for characters never in the series before, I really enjoyed their dialogue, especially from Neku and Joshua, and they're some of the more likeable and interesting NPCs so far in the series in my opinion. They left more of an impact on me than most of the Final Fantasy characters have done anyway. Through them and their mini side plots, you slowly piece together the elements of this Inception level mystery in the story, and slowly but surely it's explained why when Sora falls asleep, Riku wakes up in the gameplay, why Riku seems to be seeing more random characters from his past while Sora doesn't, and why they seem to exist in different versions of the same sleeping realms unable to see each other. It's later revealed that Riku, possibly from the darkness in his heart trying to turn him around, missed out on the trip to the actual sleeping sleeping realms and is in fact inside Sora's dreams. You're sleeping within a guy that's already sleeping, and honestly I wish I brought a camera to record the bed. To make things just that little bit easier to grasp, you also get notifications when flashback sequences and waking world event cutscenes are happening, so you don't get completely lost in the non-linear storytelling, which is insanely helpful. And my favourite cutscene that captures Kingdom Hearts perfectly in all of its awkward nonsensicalness is in the Tron Legacy world.
Bingo. And now you're up to speed. If we're lucky.
There's even parts of the story where Maleficent and Pete come back and hold Queen Minnie at ransom for the data book from Coded, despite me not wanting to hear another word about that game. And hey, she then reveals that she's working with Xehanort, despite all the shit he put her through in Kingdom Hearts 1 and basically killing her. So whatever this fucker has planned made Maleficent forgive him. It must be pretty terrifying what he's got concocting. The time travel element to the story is wonky as fuck, but I could still get around it. And if you're okay with Kingdom Hearts 2, hell, even Chain of Memories, you should be able to suspend your disbelief long enough to broadly follow enough where it's going and enjoy the ride. Young Xehanort and Master Xehanort working in time travel together also means that the dream worlds are tons more threatening, because Xehanort is able to find out exactly what Sora and Riku are doing on their exam and interrupt it multiple times, not only threatening the only hopes of the world from getting home alive, but also meaning at some point they could be trapped into the Inception level sleep within sleep shit to keep them stuck and succumb to Xehanort forever. Unlike Coded, this feels like an actual thing that happens in the grander story. What was supposed to be a simple examination ended up becoming a proper life or death trial, and Xehanort's ridiculous plan revealing itself in more glorious ways than ever I couldn't help but love. I loved finding out that he's been plotting this entire world-conquering scheme since Kingdom Hearts 1, and I love how they finally had an explanation for the hooded man being in Kingdom Hearts 1 at Destiny Islands in the first place. And hey, remember the Organization 13 members? Well, we believed that they had no hearts, but in fact they actually do have hearts. And Xehanort, or his nobody counterpart Xemnas, set out from day one to manipulate them, make them believe that they had no hearts, and then rip their souls from them while they were vulnerable so that they could all become catalysts for many different versions of himself. Yes, this guy wants to make like fucking 13 clones of himself. It's ridiculous. Yeah, in Kingdom Hearts you've had good guys before and bad guys and blah 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 blah, but this guy is that fucking evil to the point of using every single character in the entire universe to his gain, and it changes what the past events all mattered to everyone when they thought they were doing the right thing. The main things in the story I have issues with, believe it or not, are not the time travel things, because even though it has inconsistencies, many if not all time travel stories do, and this is Kingdom Hearts is already completely fucking absurd. I could ignore most of that. But it's actually more with the other niggly things. When Axel wakes up as Lee after his nobody is defeated, then why isn't Axel or Lee being hunted down by all the other organization members once they wake up too? If he can remember all of his nobody experiences when he looks in the mirror, why don't the others remember him killing them and betraying them all throughout Chain of Memories, 358 Days, and Kingdom Hearts 2? In fact, Lee even goes straight to Yensid, so who the fuck still trusted him enough to let him leave? Furthermore, did all the guys Lee woke up next to just decide they didn't care about anything anymore? Why are they never seen again? They just fuck off. Also, the game mentions something about Sora never being the chosen one for the Keyblade and Riku instead being the true chosen one, and it treated that info like I was already supposed to know it, which I did not, so I hope that's answered in the prequel movie and the game I'll be looking at next. But hey, that's the biggest mouthful out of the way, isn't it? So let's move on to how the game plays. The gameplay is honestly more of a mishmash than I was expecting, which isn't a bad thing because it mostly plays well, but it just wasn't quite what I was ready for, and I don't think the game is quite ready either. It's almost like for every cool new thing, there's always a drawback to it. The main game is still about running around, platforming, exploring for treasures, getting experience points for more combo and power potential, and hacking away at enemies with your Keyblade, but it has had the most changes to the formula so far since Chain of Memories, sometimes in awesome and sometimes in odd ways. For the awesome stuff, for example, pressing the dodge roll button allows you to not only dodge attacks but grab enemies, allowing you to fling them around into other enemies or walls, and occasionally you even have chances to slingshot enemies and objects, or do something more bizarre like ride bubbles into the enemies to collect them all into a big ball and then explode them all together. All of these things don't only look cool and feel good to do, but also help out majorly with crowd control, and is especially useful in the early game when it isn't as easy to level into health and defense, and recovery is pretty minimum compared to the previous games. By rolling into walls, rails or poles, you also activate the free running mechanic, allowing you to link other dashes into other walls, rails or poles, not only fixing the issue of backtracking through bigger areas that Kingdom Hearts 2 suffered from a bit, but also allowing you to add more potential crowd control and high damage to your combat. By attacking in different states of free running, such as off of a wall or while jumping in mid-air, you can perform different flippy special area attacks, and even though it it is very cool and works 70% of the time, there are lots of areas it becomes unavoidable to use or are used unintentionally because it's automatically used whenever you dodge into any solid surface, which isn't only a little bit annoying but also ends up cheesing the game completely out of your own control. Plus, it's way too easy to abuse any of these kind of attacks anyway to make yourself untouchable, making all of those corridor moments, which there is a lot of in this game, way too damn easy even if you want to avoid using these attacks altogether. It's just too cramped and gets used accidentally all the damn time. And hey, this is even assuming you get used to the fact that you'll be accidentally going into free running mode, because a lot of the time I went into it and then just flew off in another direction, not realizing that I could attack in time before I got there. You also get to play with the Dream Eaters in this game, or at least the good ones that help you fight the Nightmare ones. They act almost like Disney summons from the previous games, but they're on you all of the time, can be upgraded, and can have different attacks chained together, provide different individual and group special moves, and are much more adorably weird than anything in Kingdom Hearts so far. They also participate in events to level up further, like Flick Rush, which is Chain of Memories card battling gameplay mixed with Pokemon, and luckily I found all of this stuff really damn cool, but I won't lie when I say that the fact this stuff isn't optional forces you to adapt a new gameplay style unheard of for Kingdom Hearts, and that may alienate a few too many people, especially when this system isn't perfect, and I think more focus should have been placed on the action RPG elements instead. A lot, and I mean a lot of your time in the game is devoted to these things, creating them with synthesis materials, looking after them, and bonding by petting them, leveling them up in Flick Rush tournaments or minigames, feeding them different treats to power up different stats, and the more shit you do with them, not only the stronger they get and effective in combat, but the more ability link points you can unlock to open up dozens of different paths to give Sora and Riku different defense, attack, health, and cooldown bonuses to their individual moves, depending on who is in your party at the time. I mean, look at it, there's tons of variety, and if you like tinkering around with stuff, you'll appreciate it a lot, but Christ, it feels like a bit too much of the game is riding on it, and if you don't like this creature management even slightly, you may not enjoy the game as a whole because it's all linked together. Even if you complete the many tiny side challenges in the game based around physical fighting, your rewards aren't new weapons or levels, but mostly relate to the development of your Dream Eaters. And they're really good rewards for the Dream Eaters, don't get me wrong, but that's the thing, it's mostly for them. Lots of pressure is taken off for leveling up stats and searching for better equipment, and the huge roster of ability switching and customizing for any situation to meet Sora's needs is basically gone. Instead, you need to get good at leveling your creature party, switching between different creatures, and choosing their abilities during fights when appropriate with directional buttons, and with so many sub-menus it can take a few hours to get the hang of it. Even when trying to do simple special attacks is not that easy, and trying to heal or use special attacks mid-fight is absolutely absurd and got me killed a few times even with a button shortcut. The magic meter is also gone here and instead replaced with cooldown attacks in a cycling deck like Chain of Memories again. And personally, I really love this feature. I am aware that some of the DS games did this before, but this is the first time I've experienced it, and I really liked how this system works. I actually prefer it a little bit more than magic, because instead of just giving Donald or Goofy loads and loads of elixirs or ethers to refill your magic gauge and you can keep spamming the same magic over and over again until you run dry of those potions which you can rebuy, now you have no choice but to manage your special attacks a lot more sparingly, and if you get them wrong you have to wait until the next time. It's a little bit more strategic and I like that. And extra attacks become available through the store or medal trading places from the stuff that you earn in Flick Rush, and more card slots become available to your move deck through experience points and leveling up. And unlike Chain of Memories, you can still basic attack at will, which I really appreciate, and I personally set it out so that the deck auto cycles through all of my attacks and never hits the recovery items in my deck unless I need to use it myself, which helped out a lot. But saying that, it isn't as graceful as multiple shortcut buttons to heal or cast magic, while special attacks are left to the actual hack and slash combat in the game and how you activate different combos. And honestly, if so much of the game didn't rely around your creature management and you could just unlock this kind of stuff throughout the game itself, which maybe the DS games did, I can't possibly tell you, I prefer that a little bit more. The good thing though is that by training your Dream Eaters, fighting them and bonding with them whenever you can, the ability trees you can open up for extra character leveling and super moves you can unlock and use during combat as link abilities are insanely worth it, luckily. Sora's guarding counterattack, for instance, is a complete joy to get the hang of, like visceral attacks in Bloodborne, and personally I always wanted to level into creatures that upped my base strength and special attack cooldown so that I could use them tons and hit hard at the cost of terrible magic and smaller defense. It was just so satisfying. I just find it a bit of a shame that even though the base attack, magic, HP, deck size and defense are all levels through combat, most of the rest of the stuff you have to unlock or equip to try out in your decks are really only acquired through the babysitting of the creatures, taking them into tournaments to earn medals to trade for extra attacks, and it's never around what Kingdom Hearts does best, which, don't get me wrong, I love the idea with, and when it's all combined into the slickness of the gameplay and how well you can utilize the creatures and do link attacks with them by sharing connected hits, it's a very unique way of leveling up in an action RPG, and it is much different from the other games for me to recommend, but come on, it wouldn't be as much of a problem except with how you train these things outside the main gameplay, which is with extremely repetitive, awful music minigames that do reward you, but Christ almighty, a minute per minigame doesn't sound like a lot, but it really really is here, especially since by the end of the game you would have spent hours in these menus, and that fucking music, I swear to God, the music, I can't stand it. Also, if you want to create new or better grade creatures to further experiment link attacks and special ability bonuses for Sora and Riku with, you'll need to train them all from lower levels unless you have the right synthesis materials to immediately level them ridiculously high. So if you want to spend hours and hours getting to a point of having a decent big roster of swappable creatures, the process to get there is a little bit too long, grindy, and I didn't want to do it at all. Personally, I was happy with most of the creatures I had from the start of the game, so I take that as a failing on the game's part for not making the training process as natural, quick, or fun as it should be. And considering you don't even get extra experience points by doing things like guarding or blocking attacks with your attacks, despite the creatures all being very varied themselves, the package as a whole feels a little trickier to play in your own way than ever without making things difficult for yourself. Side note, the PS4 version uses the controller touchpad on these minigames like a drawing tablet, which only shows off how much this was definitely made more with the 3DS in mind. It's a little bit awkward, and you can almost say the same with the dream diving to get to each world. It's a cool concept and everything, and much more fun than the gummy ships in Kingdom Hearts 1, but it's definitely meant to be played with 3DS depth. I can barely see a fucking thing around Riku and Sora, especially when they're dead center in the screen. But like I said, these are better than Kingdom Hearts 1's gummy ships. These sections are fast, allow you to use magic and dodges to get around, and give you really good bonuses, but they are a step down from Kingdom Hearts 2. I mean, they are pretty damn good overall, and they even have their own unique challenges and bosses to keep themselves fresh, so I can't complain too much, but yeah, this was definitely made more with the 3DS in mind. You may have also noticed for this review that I've been playing as Riku and Sora, but this isn't with different campaigns or anything. You actually play as both of them back to back. Since Riku is stuck in Sora's dreams and Sora is within the dreaming world himself, whenever one character falls asleep, the other one wakes up, which is what the game calls dropping, and I love the dropping mechanic. You have a certain amount of time before you wake up, and you can indeed extend the time with items, but as a whole, this rushing around idea to get stuff done is built around the free running for a good sense of urgency to do as much as you can before falling asleep. And it's not just a time limit to swap characters for the sake of it, and it's not like Majora's Mask or something where if you run out of time, the game ends. The better you do with one character, the better the bonuses you unlock for the next character, and vice versa. And the items to keep the time going a little bit longer for your character are frequent enough where it's never annoying. It also helps that both Riku and Sora are stuck in different versions of the same world, so despite visiting the same Disney locations, actually end up in totally different sections to explore, never making the back and forth tiresome. And even cooler, you get your own unique individual Keyblade for the same world. And as for the bosses, they're all pretty good honestly, but the most standout one and the best one is definitely the last Ansem and Xehanort bosses from Riku's story. This shit was absolutely intense. I loved the ending. The more you explore and find from chests within the time limit of each character, the more bonuses you buy for the next character once they wake up, giving you great incentive to find as much as you can and activate as many encounters as possible to not only level up but make sure everything is better for your creatures and Riku or Sora when they next wake up, keeping the positive feedback loop of the gameplay alive. And if you choose not to do that on one character, the bonuses are just that, bonuses, so you miss out entirely until the next drop. To put everything in perspective though, considering this was made initially for the 3DS, Dream Drop Distance is a properly legit and worthwhile addition to the Kingdom Hearts series. I mean, just the fact that you get individual reality shift attacks, not only with specific effects and animations, but also mini-games with different themes for each world, and all of the sound effects in the Fantasia world are replaced with orchestral instruments left me beaming. It mostly plays well, it has interesting ideas that mostly all hit, and despite it clocking in a little shorter than the other Kingdom Hearts games, still lasted me nearly 30 hours, so for a handheld game, that's impressive, despite its more restrictive elements and random uncontrollable shit that I discussed earlier. Here's the thing though, to be totally honest, with the high focus on creature management and annoying, dreadful fucking music whenever you need to do the same repetitive shit over and over again, this holds the game back absolutely, even if you were wanting a game about creature care. As it is a little bit more annoying than I think it should be, despite the pretty HD 60 FPS, I feel a little bit more confident with a 7 out of 10 here. This game is damn good. In the end of the story though, we have Master Xehanort revealing that he foresaw the nobodies of Organization 13 gaining their independence and many of them not wanting to become puppets for him, and so he grabbed different incarnations of himself from different moments in time along with a few of the resurrected original members willing to sacrifice themselves to become catalysts for his own split up soul. Think of Voldemort and Horcruxes, it's kind of like that. By combining the 13 darkness husks into clones of himself and wanting to kidnap 7 of the light side husks, he intends to recreate this fabled Keyblade from the first ever Keyblade War, a war eons ago in which Kingdom Hearts itself was fought over and shattered the original first ever most powerful Keyblade in the world. This also in a roundabout way explains why Ansem used 7 Princesses of Light in Kingdom Hearts 1, and that's who Xehanort plans on using to create this Keyblade to destroy everyone. You can say what you want about the story, but I'm finding this shit pretty fun, okay? By having the light and dark sides clash together, he hopes this will recreate the original Keyblade and end everything, but in order to complete this, he traps Sora in the deepest, darkest sleep he can to be used as his most powerful vessel. But luckily, Lee comes in out of nowhere to fuck shit up, making Xehanort run off because he hadn't seen that far ahead. By the way, hearing Leonard Nimoy's voice coming out of that was a lovely surprise. I didn't expect that at all, and I'm really sad that he probably might not be in Kingdom Hearts 3. And the last thing before Kingdom Hearts we have to chew on is that Riku dives into Sora's sleep again to wake him up up from the inside and finds Diz inside his head, who he reveals encoded himself as data within Sora while he was being restored in Kingdom Hearts 2, along with all the important hero characters will need to win the war since they have all been touched by Sora's heart in some way or another in the past. Basically, Sora's goodness in his heart is the key to how it connects with everything and how to save the people they need for the future, and that's why the Keyblade picked him at that random point in the first game when it should have been handed down in some way to Riku. As I said, I don't know anything about this yet, but that's what I managed to get out of it. Riku is the one named a true Keyblade Master for willingly risking his life to save Sora from his deepest sleep, and we end with Lee surprisingly ending up with a Keyblade all of his own. And what happens next, how they'll save the rest of the heroes they need, and how the fuck they'll end Xehanort forever, I suppose is in 3. But hey, as far as Kingdom Hearts goes, I'm not done until then quite yet, am I? So whenever I have time, I'll jump into the prequel movie and games, and then we are ready for the epicness that will hopefully be 3. Until then, if it's your birthday today while watching this video, happy friggin' birthday to you, and please remember to stay beautiful. Thank you so much for watching this Dream Drop Distance review, everybody. Really excited for Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't know about you guys. And special thanks to all the names on screen right now that have helped support this channel via Patreon in the description below while YouTube keeps messing shit up. And as always, special thanks to all of the top tier supporters on my Patreon page: Omar Matu, Basil, Patrick Ferguson, Robert Alamsha, I Have a Portal Gun, Gamer Man, Jezebel, Matthew Hubble, Chumbawamba, Cyberpunk Symphony, Star Ira Lance J, Zakari, Binary Code, Exopaz, Thomas Olson, Daniel Leon, Jane Ives, Mitchell Reed, A.D. Thornton Smith, Oblivion Rising, Ellen Rilpley, Kirsten B, QB, Nathan Young, and Nicole Ganara. Thank you so much, every single one of you.